Okay, let's get into the story. There's no point just talking about Henrik with it. The big story that we've been referring to a lot in the last topic. BBC Sport. Sheffield Wednesday boss Rohl to return to club. The article reads as follows. Sheffield Wednesday boss Danny Röhl is to return to the club. The Championship side, who are under a number of embargoes because of financial issues, came back in for pre-season last month, but Rohl has not been present. Even before the club ran into problems that caused wage payments to be delayed for both May and June, it had looked likely that the German would depart the Championship side. However, with owner Deshvan Chansiri now keen for a sale to be completed as soon as possible, Rohl has elected to return. The 36-year-old took over at Wednesday in October 2023 and led them to a 12th place last season, having helped them pull off the miraculous escape from relegation in 2023-24. Wednesday start the new season with a trip to Leicester City, who Rohl has been linked with, on Sunday, the 10th of August. So, initial thoughts before we get into it. We are going to do this as a 2-article headline because something I predicted and something I thought might happen has happened, and I got a lot of pelters for it. Before we talk about that, and I do be a little bit smug, smarmy, whatever you want to call me, what were your thoughts when when this first reported, obviously, that Danny was coming back, Jack?
I'm like 50-50 on it. There's 2 possible scenarios in my head that are equally weighted at the moment. And it's, number 1 is effectively Danny's heard the rumblings that we haven't, because then NDAs will be thrown around like bloody sweets at this point, given that there's the third party that's in charge of making sure the sale happens. He'll have known about that sort of stuff and the details of it, and will stick around, and possibly is even wanted by the new ownership model that wants to come in and buy the club and all the rest of it. So that's why he's returned. The scenario B, that is equally weighted in my head to scenario A, is that his own behaviour in the off-season and flaunting himself around and all the rest of it and touting himself for all these new jobs, and also the release clause on him as well, has all put off other clubs, and nobody else wants him. So now he's got to come back and fulfill his contract as the Wednesday manager. So
and I'm
50-50 between
I must say,
2.
our audience, there were a lot of the comments that were sort of like a bit more, let's say, harsh in the comment section to the video I made were newer viewers to the channel.
Yeah.
The people I could see that regularly comment on our videos and have seen the nuanced conversations we've had about Danny could see both sides. I liked what Danny did at the club, right? Can I put that down straight away?
Likewise.
I think Danny is a good manager, but I think when his head was turned in January, we saw a different side to Danny Röhl.
Yes.
Right? And that's when I started to slowly decline in my estimations of him, and the way he behaved was appalling. I don't care who he works for.
Yeah.
And I will keep banging this drum, right? You can call me what you want with it. I will keep banging this drum that he acted unprofessionally. When the players turned up, he didn't. He's now coming back literally a day after Henrik was announced that he was staying. Danny walks through. You could say, does he know that Henrik signed on because he's talked with Danny, etc.? I think it's the opposite. I think Henrik signs that contract thinking he'll be the manager, and then it ends up being more of a case of, Danny's like, I might even lose my job there. I better go back.
Yeah.
So I'm not in breach of contract and whatever, because I think he has been touted about, and it's not happened. We know he's been flirting with every other club, and I don't think anyone wanted to pay the release, so he's decided to come back.
I mean, there's also a
I will
conspiracy
say I'll
theory
fully
in my
back
head.
him.
Oh,
Jack,
sorry, carry on.
No, I will say I'll fully back him because he'll be the Sheffield Wednesday manager, and I will. And I'm not going to discredit what he has done previously, but I can criticise his behaviour very recently. Go on, Jack, what were you saying?
The conspiracy theory in my head is that towards the end of the season, Chansiri could have actually maybe even told Danny, go off and find yourself this new, this other club that will come in and pay your release clause, because I need the 5 million to pay people in the summer, and we'll be dead in the water, and there'll be all sorts of problems if we don't get that. So I'm a little bit, just because of his behaviour and how Chansiri was dead silent throughout the whole time of all of that, I just sort of think that maybe he's listened to instructions from Chansiri to advertise himself out there, but has done it in the wrong way that's actually put people off him rather than attract him. You know, does that make sense? Like, he's just marketed himself in the complete wrong way and has actually, it's all backfired.
He could have done it on the quiet.
Yeah.
He could have done it on the quiet.
Exactly.
And we wouldn't be talking about all this. What I did say in that video is, yes, we know players have handed in their notice because that's their contractual right. Not everybody. It was like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
But he threw down a gauntlet of, I want out, I want out. That's not going to look good with certain players, potentially the young ones. Or do you have a belief in us as a squad? Do you have a belief in your staff? The staff are going to be like, hang on, we turned up. You didn't.
Yeah.
Why are we here and you're not? And I said that could cause rifts. You can imagine that some people will not be too happy with that. And then I did get pelters for that. And then a few hours later, I was very happy to read the Star exclusive that says Sheffield Wednesday player reaction to Danny Röhl news leads to further Owls questions. The article reads as follows. It was reported this week that Sheffield Wednesday manager Danny Rohl was electing to return to Hillsborough after missing the start of pre-season. The German has been subject to speculation for months now, with a number of clubs both in England and Germany believed to have shown interest in the undoubtedly talented young manager. It's not long since that it was revealed that negotiations were underway between manager and the club that would see him eventually move on from S6, but this week's U-turn, as reported by Radio Sheffield, threw things back up in the air once again. It came just a couple of days after it was confirmed that Henrik Pedersen had agreed to extend his stay, with the club announcing him as assistant manager, and the expectation would be that he would eventually move up into the managerial role once Rohl's situation was finalised. The latest news blurred the lines, and the Star understands that Pedersen's decision to re-sign at Hillsborough had nothing to do with Rohl's potential return, with suggestions that the two are not in regular communication. Now there's another twist in the tale, with this publication understanding that a meeting had taken place between the players and staff at their pre-season camp at St George's Park, with the general consensus being that they would prefer it if Rohl did not return. It felt like too much has happened since the end of the season, including the German's absence from pre-season, for him to walk back in. Multiple sources have suggested a return for Rohl would not be welcomed by a substantial portion of those who remain, an issue that would throw up more question marks around the future of the football club that is currently surrounded by chaos. End quote. I am not often smug on this podcast or smarmy. I don't like the fact that this is the case, by the way, but for all the people that were giving me grief, there you go, Jack.
Yeah. You know what? I'd never said it out loud. I thought this situation might come to pass as well, because of how he was touting himself so much, and it's going to be very interesting. Let's say, I think, to see what actual because I don't think, as far as I know, I don't think he's actually there yet at St George's Park. Like this,
I think he's due to arrive today actually, and go into the week. I'm not sure, but it's.
Honestly,
it was
if the players have
obvious,
got, if
Jack, that
the
some people would have
this,
the backs
fair play
pulled
to them. Like,
yeah,
he's betrayed him. He's
fair play to the
effectively,
ones
there's a
that
big betrayal
out.
there of, right, okay, great. You don't actually give a damn about us at all. Clearly, if he just wanted to walk as much as he did, I'd feel really betrayed if, like, my manager figure or whatever. I mean, especially the younger ones, if they looked up to Danny quite a lot and his advice and all the rest of it, they'd feel really personally betrayed. Why would you welcome them back in, whoever it is, if someone had betrayed you like that and not really kind of thought that you were... I don't know. It just... You know what? Charlie the Pooh on Twitter, who's quite well known amongst the Wednesday fan base, said a very good point. It's exactly like the US office, where Michael is like giving it the big one about getting the big corporate job and all the rest of it, and then it doesn't materialize, and he has to just stroll back in and pretend like nothing ever happened, and everyone's really awful with him for quite a long time in the show, and it's exactly like that. And it's just a case of, like, I know that Chansiri, I don't think I wouldn't want to work for Chansiri, right? Let's get that clear. I don't think
some players have handed their notice in because they weren't being paid. They were legally obliged to do that.
Yeah.
Danny Röhl was paid. Danny Röhl decided at the end of the season, do you know what? This squad isn't good enough. This manager there's no ambition here. I'm off. And that's fine, by the way, right? But the way he touted himself, he basically put it in the public that I want to get away from this squad as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And even if he didn't mean it like that, there'll be players that have inferred it. Yep. All the staff that bought into the project, we back Danny. We're going to work really hard. We're going to work our asses off to get this club into a position. Our manager's just walking out and he's trying to get an exit any way possible. He's now walking back in and they're like, we were here.
Yeah.
We decided to ride out the rough part.
Yep.
And even though some of us had ideas that we would leave, we didn't act in the manner that you did.
Yeah.
So that is going to put people's backs up. And it's obviously now happened.
There was that one comment he made, wasn't there? Do you remember? And he was like, I want to work, I want to come up against and work with the best coaches and the best players. And the inference of that is that, like, I don't think that these players and coaches and whoever else are all that good. And I want to work with with better. And it's like,
and again, even if he didn't mean to be as clumsy with his words there are people that will take it like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I would. And I know I would, personally.
Yeah, I think he shot himself in the foot. And I am going to fully back him coming back as manager. But as I said, Jack, he's lost all the grace period.
Yep.
Like, if Danny had a tough start to the season and he'd not done all of this in the summer, we'd be going, Danny's the man to turn it around. Just back him.
Yeah, exactly.
But
he's now going to be under a tough start to the
season, we'll be like, well, you've got no loyalty to us. You've only come back because you had to.
Yep.
Off you go.
Exactly.
Pedersen, take the reins, sort of thing. So Danny's backed himself. I am conscious that we've had a 2 months, 3 months of just negativity at Sheffield Wednesday. Let's look at the positive as we end this topic, Jack. Because we could just rant about Rohl for a long time, but I'm kind of tired of doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll talk about him next week as well. But if this looks at the positive for Sheffield Wednesday, we now have a manager that's coming back that has to perform because he's got no grace period left. If he doesn't perform for us, and he doesn't get the best out of the players and he can't keep harmony in the squad because he's lost it or whatever, we have a ambitious assistant manager that would like to be the Sheffield Wednesday manager that can step up. So basically, it's like the 2 goalkeeper situation. The number 1 could easily get dislodged by the number 2, right? Yep. And that is what could happen with Danny. So we either do well with Danny or
we do well with Henrik. Yeah.
We get Henrik in. So looking at it as a positive, that's the situation with Danny Röhl.
Yes.